Oh, sorry. I forgot to tell everyone, I am going to record this for the people who were unable to come live. I know that attending meetings live can be difficult with our busy schedules sometimes. So if you are just coming on, let me know where you are, where you're calling in from. I am in the Seattle area, Seattle, Washington area, which is on the West Coast of the US. Sometimes I get people on these calls from all over. I feel like I should have some hold music or something. Do, 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 do. Let me pause for a second while people still come in. Okay, well, I know it's 4:04 my time on the West Coast of the US. So I'm going to get started because I know that your time is valuable. So I am Cheryl. I am the person who has emailed you. And this is actually the first time I've done like a group information session. I've usually in the past just done one-on-one chats. But I figured, a lot of times it can be helpful to hear other people's questions. And also it's efficient to get together in a group sometimes too. So I thought I'd try that this time. And so I'm going to the first part of this will be me sharing my screen and just giving you some details, not very long, like 10, 15 minutes about Rheum to Thrive specifically. And then I'm going to open it up for general questions about that program or anything else. Does that sound good? Anyone confused why they're okay? Good. Okay. We're here for the same reason. Good. Okay. I always have this fear then in my mind, like, oh wait, am I in the wrong meeting? Or like you go take a test, you're like, am I in the wrong room? I had a friend that actually happened to on the SATs, which is a really important test. It's like they accidentally went in the room for like the Spanish one and they meant to do math. And it was like, what is happening? So, okay. So this is information about Rheum to Thrive. Yes, I love acronyms. So, just a quick introduction to me. That's me on a good day. Professional photography day. But so my name is Cheryl, yes, and I am an occupational therapist. I became an occupational therapist 6 to 8 years, because it took me 2 years after I got my diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. So I've been living with rheumatoid arthritis now for like 19 years, actually. And I also have a son, so I'm also a mom. And I started Arthritis Life to kind of fill a gap I saw between like patients' needs and what was actually being served, how they were being served. It seemed like we were getting these, to be blunt, sometimes we get these like 20-minute appointments with a doctor and that's just not enough. But then we also have this like wild west of internet support groups or on Facebook group support groups, which are just kind of like so much information with like no one to help you kind of make sense of it and curate it. So that's why I started doing, a lot of free educational content like videos and podcasts, and then also my more structured, intensive like support groups and my online course. So I just created this. No one made me do this. I just decided to do it. And so it's been really great. I started Arthritis Life in 2019. So still relatively young and kind of, serving even a greater need during the pandemic, I guess I would say, for virtual connections. So so the Rheum to Thrive specifically, it was designed to give people really two different things, like that we need tools, right? We need information, access to accurate information, I would say. I want to hear what you all need too. But my observation has been that people need access to like the information that's going to help them on the really practical everyday level. And then also community, like a supportive community that really understands and gets what you're going through. So many people tell me like, I've never met anyone in real life or in any sort of real time interaction who has my same condition or maybe who's my same age or that kind of thing. So I really designed it to kind of say, okay, in 6 months, can we develop some deep like social connections and also learn some tools? So it's really like a hybrid of like a little bit of, I almost called it arthritis school at first, because part of it is learning the tips and tricks, but really I think you need both. You need the learning, but you also need the support and community because, because it's just a more well-rounded experience, I guess I would say. So people do try to do it on their own, and it is possible to get the information on your own for sure, but it is a lot more fun from my experience and less painful to do it in a supportive environment. So I'm trying to like explain this as clearly as possible. I hope this is not like too much information, but basically what the program is, I call it different things. Sometimes I call it a support group. Sometimes I call it like an education program. So I apologize if it's confusing, but it is a series of live phone call or video Zoom calls. So live, I don't know why I said phone calls, live video calls, like what we're doing right now. 3 to 4 months. It's usually we schedule 4, but I say 3 just in case like something comes up and we have to cancel last minute. And then the focus of those phone calls is the first 20 minutes to 30 minutes is like tools to improve your quality of life, whether that's like pain management or fatigue tools or mental health coping tools. And then the second part of it is a more of a traditional support group structure where we just open it up for general questions. It could be like, I just, started a new job. What accommodations might I need? Or like my brother-in-law is refusing to get vaccinated and I know that I'm vulnerable, and like, how do I approach this conversation? So there's that's really the core, is the live calls and they're all recorded. And then we also have an online community that's like a way to kind of maintain those relationships. And it's just on Facebook groups currently. It's a private Facebook group. I'm definitely open to taking it off Facebook at some point, because a lot of people, have mixed feelings or strongly not happy feelings about Facebook, which I totally understand. It's just kind of meeting people where the most majority are. So I keep everything very, very confidential. So if I actually don't even do screenshots that often, but when I do ask permission. So these people have given permission for their picture. I just blacked out the names. These are people from the first group. And so they're just giving you a little bit of an image of what it would be like. It's just a bunch of friendly faces, really. And just to give a little bit more detail. So I developed this framework. So Thrive is the feeling we're trying to achieve, right? Is thriving with our condition, but also it's an acronym for the things that I teach in the program. So the T stands for tools for pain and fatigue. The H is healthy habits. That's things like, exercise, nutrition, sleep. Those are like the 3 core ones. And then relationships, like how to approach explaining your condition to friends and family. Inner world, so mental health broadly, like coping skills, stress management. And then V is valued activities and hobbies, like how can we still have, engage in the things that matter to us with our conditions. And then E is executive functions, which is like how to be the CEO of your care team, track symptoms and basically, have positive, productive like interactions with providers. So those are under the umbrella of something called self-management in the kind of healthcare and occupational therapy world where I come from. But I think that's kind of a very vague term. So I just call it like life skills for chronic illness people, right? Or it's like the job skills of the job of being a patient. So I'm just going to stop sharing super quick. Are there any questions so far? Because I don't want to just be like lecturing to you. Oh, okay, good. Okay. Okay, I'll go back. So, and then, so each month we focus on a different one of these in that first 20 minutes of my little mini lecture with questions and answers. So like for example, right now in January for the group, I do it twice a year. I start groups twice a year. So one starts in October and one starts in April. So for the people who start in October, we're on inner world right now. So we're talking about like this whole month, each week we've had a different theme around like, ways to basically, cope with stress, mindfulness, Was that Lori? Are you asking something or no? Oh, okay.
No, sorry, just look at the screen.
Oh no, that's okay. No, this is way too small. I'll send you a copy of these slides.
It lets me make it bigger, so it's
oh,
okay.
good. Okay, no,
Sorry.
yeah, I know. I realized that like 5 minutes before this, and I was like, oops. But yeah, because if you have your own copy, then you can. Yeah, but I find it hard to zoom in during Zoom meetings. But like, yeah, we talk about cognitive behavior therapy last week, and then this week it's like putting together a coping toolbox. So that's the schedule for the people who started in October. But yeah, that will be starting if you join, start in April. And so we'll go through like tools for pain, tools for fatigue. And again, so we kind of start on that note, and then the meetings always open up at the end for whatever people want to talk about. If you don't have to only talk about pain and fatigue the first month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Nada.
Can you email us the schedule? Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it really is, again, I think of it like, it's just like a job orientation for the job of being a rheumatoid arthritis or rheumatic disease patient. It's like, okay, it's something we have to learn how to do. And most people are going to learn on their, I learned a lot of this.
So much more full-time than we had any idea.
No, exactly. And it's almost just, to me, and this is again, maybe a little mini rant, but it's kind of like a slap in the face that you're just not even given like any, like in my ideal world, everyone would be given like multiple appointments with like a social worker, a counselor, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, a nutritionist, like to walk you through even deeper on all these things, but it's just not being done, so.
In fact, it's almost discouraged where I am.
Oh, where are you?
I'm in Toronto, and I'm just trying to even say, could you please check all my nutritional deficiencies? And they say, I think you're fine.
Oh no.
I think you're fine.
I'm sorry.
So,
yeah. It's like so sad because the people who get trained in these areas like nutrition and like counseling, they want to help people. It's like, why are we not referring people to them? I don't know.
I don't know. And the pandemic has just made it worse and longer and less time on any end for anyone to actually spend more than 15 minutes trying to solve something.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. Completely understand. Yeah, to me, part of forming all these programs, really, it's just, I have a self-paced online course, the Rheumatoid Arthritis Roadmap, that goes through this stuff just on your own. It's me giving you just the info.
Right.
And some people want that. They want the self-paced. I'm sorry, I forget where I was originally. I already got brain fog in that sentence where I was going with that, but other people want to do it in this kind of supportive community atmosphere where you're not just sitting, like I look at a screen too long all day anyway. But what I was going to say is like, I'm just very impatient. So like, I want to like help the healthcare system I'm in the United States, but in the US and Canada and everyone, I want to help that change. Like, but that's going to be like, that's like a 40-year goal, like in my lifetime, really versus like, okay, like what can I do now? So yeah. So, okay, let me go back to my slides. So this is the reason I do slides, is to keep my brain on track. But yeah, we can definitely, that's ends up being, even just being in the group and hearing other people who are going through the same difficulties, like accessing specialists and stuff, that can be therapeutic to be like, oh, it's not like I'm doing it wrong. It's just hard. Like sometimes you don't know, is this hard because it's hard, or is it hard because I'm doing it wrong?
Right. I feel like I'm the one trying to find the path. There isn't anyone telling me a path.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird
being your own caregiver, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Actually, I'll stop so I can see better. But yeah. And I think so it's a double-edged sword, the fact that like ultimately with a lifelong chronic illness, it is in your best interest for you to be like, quote unquote, in the driver's seat, like doing, but especially in the beginning, that's like a huge burden and a huge learning curve, so it's like, we need like someone to help like shepherd you through that, process of learning, like long-term. It is going to be good to be like, oh yeah, I'm in charge of this. But then it's a mental load. It's an emotional load. It's a time commitment. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah. I wish it was different. the thing that, this kind of goes along with just what I'm saying. Like the thing that I try to articulate, that's hard for me to articulate, is that when I teach the strategies, like the pain tools and the fatigue tools, we're trying to figure out, yes, we want to improve our symptoms, to the degree that's possible. But there's also, I think, a huge benefit to focusing on, okay, what if this pain or fatigue, let's just consider, what if it doesn't get better? Like, how can we still adapt to that and have like a meaningful life, even if these things never go away completely? And that sounds a little depressing at first, but it's like an acceptance mindset that I found really, really helpful, because what I also have seen happen to a lot of people at the beginning of their like rheumatic disease journey is that people can get, and this is again, not to, if it works for you, it works. But some people can get very fixated on finding the perfect plan. What's the perfect diet, the perfect thing that's going to make it all go away. And some people find it, right? It's going vegan, or it's a certain kind of exercise, and that's fine. But a lot of people don't, so you could spend your whole life searching for something, and then your life is actually like passing you by, and there were still opportunities to still have a good life. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like this, I try to help break this assumption that like you have to wait until your disease is like perfectly controlled before you can have a good life. So kind of disentangling your happiness from your symptoms being perfectly controlled. That's like a really, I found, helpful thing for me personally in my journey, even though it can be difficult at first. And I'm just going to give a few little testimonials. This was from Suzanne. These are all, again, the names and shared with permission. But the things I think that are the most common for people to say after the group are that, they were overthinking before, kind of confused and overwhelmed. And now she's no longer spinning her wheels. Kind of, she knows, okay, these are some, I don't have all the answers, believe me. I wish I did, because then I'd just be like, here they are, we'll just do them today. But kind of a understanding of, okay, what are what we call solvable problems and what are the perpetual problems? And then also the close community atmosphere. So that was good. That was good feedback. Honestly, I'm waiting for my first like really negative feedback, because I just want to get it out of the way, but that hasn't happened yet. And Erin was hesitant to join a group because she did have a good grasp on caring for her disease, but she really also kind of liked the strong sense of community and the validation. That's, I think, one of the biggest things. And it's not just from me, right? I could validate someone all day long, but when they hear it from multiple people in a group, it's really, really neat. And I try to kind of facilitate other people supporting each other. It's not just like I'm providing all the answers. In the beginning, I'll give my little spiel on the topic of the week, but then, I'm always like, what has worked for you? People can share, their own tips and tricks, because I'm still learning. Like every day I learn of a new gadget or a new way to improve quality of life. And then this anonymous person, for them, it was the biggest thing was just feeling alone before, and she has ankylosing spondylitis. So this is not just for rheumatoid arthritis, it can be for any rheumatic disease. And so, in her mind, it's the compassion and validation, and then the information. Yeah. I feel like for a lot of people, it's like they initially start the group, they really want the information. And what ends up being most powerful and helpful is the group community part. So that's interesting. So I just want to make sure to say, I want to be clear that if what you're looking for is like a program that's going to like cure or heal your condition, like that's not the focus. Like it can definitely be taken, Room to Thrive can be taken in conjunction with like alternative and complementary therapies. I know people who've been like, I want to throw the kitchen sink at it. Like I'm going to go to acupuncture. I'm going to do Ayurvedic medicine. I'm going to do, massage, and I'm going to do occupational therapy and physical therapy. I'm doing everything. Like, and I'm very much a kitchen sink person. I'm not it's not against anything. I'm just saying this is not what the focus is. I do teach you ways to improve symptoms, but I'm never ever saying that I can cure or heal. And I'm actually really, really careful about that. I think healing in like a psychological sense is certainly something that happens in the group a lot, like feeling a sense of healing or a sense of like not being as alone anymore. But it's not about physical healing. Like, like there's programs that are like the autoimmune protocol. It's like you're going to heal your gut and you're going to heal your autoimmune disease. And I can definitely, if people want that, I can recommend some people that I think are valid. Because unfortunately, I mean, like anything health related, there are people out there that are like, making unsubstantiated claims and just trying to kind of snake oil salesman, I hate to say, but there are people, unfortunately, people like that. And then the other thing that would not be a good fit is if you're in a place, which again, I totally get it, especially during the pandemic, but if you kind of are in this mindset where you don't believe that anything you could do will make a difference. And so no matter what, you're just going to be feeling terrible the rest of your life, because you have to be open to the idea that there's things that you can do, even modestly, to improve. Does that make sense? Just because, if you're in that, and again, it is, what I would say to somebody who's in this place of real like depression, really like cannot see any light, is that's really a time for one-on-one therapy, and counseling to really, I don't want someone to think that this could take the place of that, because interestingly, support group, it's not like a term that is regulated by anyone, right? Where I like therapy and saying you're like receiving psychological therapy or services and counseling is like an actual, does that make sense? I just want to be really clear that like this shouldn't be a substitute for like one-on-one therapy. But it is a good fit if you do have one of these conditions, when you're feeling overwhelmed or just alone and want to connect to others and wanting to learn ways to manage the disease. And again, improving symptoms, that's possible. I don't like the mindset of focusing on healing or curing personally, because there's no proof that it's possible. So I'd rather focus on what is possible. And again, if there is a cure in my lifetime, I'm going to be that first person to like take it, right? Like, and promote it and say, don't worry about this. We don't have to worry about this anymore. But we'll still do the mindset work, because the mental part is always, it's relevant to any challenges in our lives, whether it's stress from chronic illness or other things. But, we talk about mindfulness and movement and like, life hacks and all the things you can do to improve your quality of life. It's just not, again, about, we're not going to make it go away. We're going to I like the word despite, despite rheumatoid arthritis, I can still blank, versus like, I must make it go away and defeat it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of like I'm kind of a language nerd. I come from a family of lawyers, so I think that maybe that's where it came from. Because in language, like, it depends what the definition of is. You're like, whoa, like, okay, that's too much. But does anyone? So that's it. Those are my little 15 slides. But does that answer anyone's questions, or is there any follow-up questions you've had after listening to that? Let me see if there's any. Okay, good. I always check my email real quick to make sure no one's like, I can't get into the Zoom meeting. I do have like the a page. I think it's been in some of the emails, but it has all the details. But again, I think some of us are more like social learners and just like to hear someone talk about it. But here is the page. And I'll just tell you a couple of the frequently asked questions. One of them is always like, what time are the meetings? So after doing this for a couple years, the times that tend to work the best for the people who've done it in the past are either like 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is noon Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT, like in England, or for this time, which is like 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern and then like midnight London time. But so what I have done and what I will do for April is I'll start it being it's either like alternating between Thursday afternoon Pacific time and Saturday morning just for that month. And then we do like a doodle poll and we see of the actual group of people who signed up, what's the best time. Does that make sense? So I tried, because I don't want anyone to like end up not being able to participate because of time. But we can't just be like, I don't know, like invest in this program when you have no idea when we're going to meet. So like this time it's ended up mostly being that Thursday, Saturday, but we actually alternate the Thursday between 9 a.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Pacific because we have more people from Europe this time. And eventually, and the groups are anywhere, the people who actually sign in to the calls, it's anywhere from like 8 to 15 people, usually no more than like 20. And I think that it hasn't been like, I haven't gotten like hundreds of people who want to do it yet, but you know, what I eventually want to do is be able to have like, okay, you could sign up for like the Thursday morning group or the Friday afternoon group. Do you know what I mean? Where I'd have enough people to make it make sense that way. But right now, if there's only like 25 people that signed up and then I have like 3 different times, then sometimes the meetings might have 2 people and then you kind of lose that group community aspect, you know? So that's the best kind of balance I found currently, is starting off again with that Thursday, Saturday, and then iterating from there. It's very weird how it's ended up really consistently being those times though, for whatever reason, they just seem to work for people. And some people like watch the recordings religiously and only ever come to a couple meetings and they get a lot out of it from that. But my learning style, like how I benefit is having to be live. Like my attention span, if I'm watching a video of something, is like way worse than if I'm live. That's just me though. So yeah. Any other questions? Oh, good. Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to leave more time. I like literally am not physically capable of like leaving I'm supposed to leave like 6 seconds. You know, they say if you're teaching and you ask a question, like leave 6 seconds. Doesn't that feel painful to you? I can't do it. Oh my gosh. But no, and any questions about anything else? I mean, we don't have to stay longer. Since you're here, I'm happy to answer anything else. And I will send you the slides. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now my daughter, you know, you met her online.
Yeah.
She has the RA, and every time, I mean, it's been 8 months. We haven't been able to slow it down or whatever. Now she learned that her hip, she has a tear in her hip. Yesterday, actually, we got the news. So she's frustrated and angry. How do I, you know, make her feel better? I don't know how.
Yeah. That's really hard. And I think, you know, that making someone feel better is a lot of pressure to put on yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the mom. I need to make her feel better.
Yeah. I think
feel better, but you know, like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Cope with it. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm trying not to answer from like a self-centered point of view, but when I definitely, if I feel like someone's trying to comfort me, but like pressure me to feel better, then I get really anxious about that. And I want to please them. And then I'll be like, I'm fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I do think that's where my brain was initially going.
No, I don't want that. Yeah.
No. And I don't think you would. I'm just like, saying like, that's why I initially was like, oh, I don't know if you should put the pressure on yourself to make someone feel better, because it also puts pressure on them. But I think that just being able to sit with someone and just acknowledge like, this is hard. Like, I wish I could make it go away. I don't know how to, so I'll just be here, you know, for you with whatever you might need right now. And just offering that compassion. And I don't think there's a lot more that needs to be done. I mean, you could, you know, I think that when you get bad news like that, I mean, the mental load is so difficult, right? Of trying to figure out, well, what's next? Like,
Yeah,
so maybe helping her research, like,
she does. Yeah.
yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. You could maybe say, is there, obviously you could ask her if there's anything that you could do, but that's still mental load for her to have to like articulate to you what she wants you to
Yeah.
do. But like, I know that like, even just if I'm in a really difficult spot, like people like my parents or loved ones, like offering to do like errands for me or taking anything off of my physical or emotional plate, like, oh, can I pick up your son from school? Or can I, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing you could, if
I'm cooking for her.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. And so, and I'm there for her all the time, but, like now with this frustration that she's going through and it's making her more sick, it's
Yeah.
aggravating all the RA in her body, but I don't know.
Yeah. Have you heard of Kristen Neff and self-compassion? She's
No.
this
Very good.
really wonderful. I see Lo is nodding.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's wonderful, right? And I mean, what self-compassion is, and I'm reading her book right now. She has a workbook to the mindful self-compassion workbook. But it's really about, I mean, this is about giving compassion to yourself, but it's similar. Self-compassion is like treating yourself the way you would treat a friend or a loved one, so some of the exercises are meant for you to give it to yourself, but the same practice you could, give to someone else too. I don't know if she would agree with that, but, and I think like just being there to sit with her and witness it. And that is actually one of the, I mean, as painful as it is, that can be one of the most, important things. And I think helping her, another thing is like helping her focus on the present, because when you get bad news too, you tend to like spiral into the future. So, like there are endless possibilities of what could happen in the future, right? So maybe you could be kind of a little trigger for her to say, okay, well, a lot of those things could happen, but
or just starting one habit, like helping her journal the symptoms, because I find that I didn't, and I wish that I remembered the course of everything that happened.
She's been stubborn about that. Yeah.
So is it something you could do for her, and you could just, it's your observation of her.
Yeah.
And you're early in this thing, and you remember that when she eats this, she doesn't feel well, or when she walks too far, she has this. Maybe you could be a second conscience or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that idea.
That's a good idea, yeah. Because I've been telling her to journal herself, and she's been telling me yes and yes, but writing also, it's hurting her still now. And even on the phone, I said, record it, just do something about it. But she's so busy at work and she forgets. But I have to do it. Yeah, I'll do it for her.
My best friend does it for me sometimes, and she reminds me of what I did or what I didn't. She said, no, that happened last time, and I forget. She's like my second memory sometimes. So it might be something that makes you feel like you're doing something.
Okay.
And then she'll benefit from your memory of it.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Oh, that's genius. I love that idea.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And I think, even if you tell her, maybe like you had a good idea for her to
night, Mom,
to send herself like voice messages instead of having to physically write it. You could have her send you voice messages or voice notes, and then you could then transcribe them and put them into like the symptom journal.
Okay. Yeah. I do think that they're really handy in a computer, because you can search by name or symptom. So if they do eventually get into the computer, then it's easy to look up every time you wrote struggled or fell or weak or tendon or whatever it is, rather than reading through handwritten notes. But anything is better than
not writing, not recording it, or not having it.
So high.
No,
Yeah.
and there are some apps now that are really good that like
Yeah.
the Arthritis Foundation has one, others that are meant to like help you do that data collection aspect, you know, and see like spit out if you say every day, this is my pain, this is my fatigue, then they at the end say like, okay, here's a little graph of like over time that you could share with your doctor. So that could be
Which one is that? Which app is that?
I'm gonna put it in the that's the wrong one. Hold on. It's a new one called the Vim.
Oh, yeah. I've heard and the foundation.
Yeah, Arthritis Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, I haven't found one app that I think is like the killer app or like the perfect all-in-one, you know, but it is good. And if your main goal is symptom tracking, it really is good to use some of the digital tools because they give you that organization element or the data tracking element versus like a paper journal, which I mean, it's better than nothing, right? But
calendar is really helpful in that when it happens, you know, so that you can associate it, I think. And I'm not sure if it was on yours, Cheryl, but I hadn't read, I'm sure it was on your site or one of your speakers that said humidity was an issue.
Yes.
And it was just never something that I knew. And I struggle all the time in the humidity, but never connected the two until I saw it. So it's something I would like in my calendar, knowing that it's you know, the weather is going to play a part in it. And so I can relax and go, I know it's just 2 weeks of bad humidity. It's not, I'm losing all my joints, you know?
Right.
So,
so true. Trying to find.
Still looking for the ultimate calendar symptom tracker. And so that you can make notes that go to your doctors too, that make sense.
Yes. That's like ideal. Yeah. It's really, I mean, I live in like Microsoft land. It's just amazing to me that no one has figured it out yet. Like
maybe it's you, Cheryl.
I know. Oh God.
You have to develop it.
I know that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It would be really good.
Yeah.
And there's so many elephants. There's so many elements that elements in the room.
No, it's totally true. And I mean, I do overview the different, like the pros and cons, you know, in the group of, I should look up my own little presentation on symptom tracking. But again, I feel bad that I can't and I think the reason I can't like decide what's the best one is that there really is the best one is the one that just works for you. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, some people are high tech and some people really like that pencil on paper, even if it hurts, you know?
Right.
But there was one, if you do want to start with the paper one, there was a really good one that I found. I'm just trying to find the link to it now. I Heart Planners. Yeah, this one is good. I'll get it. I'll put it in the chat. Come on, open Mr. Link. Sorry, there it is. I Heart Planners. That's not helpful. I didn't link to the actual free printables. There we go. She's got for me, I'm kind of like a formatting geek. So I really like when things are pretty. I don't like the kind of ugly medicalized, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Well, even your notes app on an iPhone is pretty handy.
That is actually what I use. Yeah. I'm like embarrassed to admit that's actually what I use because that's what I can use on a daily basis.
And then because you can just search for that one word, it will bring up every note where you wrote that down. I find that really handy.
Exactly. Here it is. Printable. Oh, no, it's okay. Printable tracker. Perfect. Okay, here it is. Sorry. I'm excited. I finally found it.
That's good.
And then a couple of other apps that I did like for symptom tracking are ones that are not specific to only arthritis. So like ones that are one called Simple, SYMPLE. I'll get that into the chat too, which it's very customizable so that you can say what it is, exactly like the example Lo gave of humidity. Like some of these apps, you can't add something into it. So it's not that helpful. Right. So simple, I think you have to pay a little bit for it, but it allows you to add to it, add what you want to track, which is really huge for me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And then Care Zone. Oh, that's a medication tracker. Yeah. But that was the best symptom tracker I found. My Pain Diary. Nah.
No, I think I've seen My Pain Diary, but I don't think it was okay.
No, what was the other one that is, I think it was called Curable. I remember it has a little bear on it. Oh, Bearable.
Terrible. Mm.
I'll send you that one too. Let's see. Yeah. That's such a gift to give someone to help them track their symptoms. Oh my gosh. This is why groups are good, because that was Lo's idea.
And even what she's eating and if she feels better after or before, I didn't realize how much.
I remember lots of stuff, so it's in my memory, but I'm getting old, so I'm losing my memory now.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm proud. I'm amazed that you can, I have a hard time remembering. Like, I think the biggest ones for me are sleep, stress, sunlight. They all start with S. Like I'm very, very, or sunlight or heat, also humidity. Yeah. People are always like, oh, do you feel, well, it's weird because in Seattle it's humid sometimes, but it's definitely humidity that's warm is the worst for me. Like I've gone to Hawaii, I feel awful when I first get there. And even though I'm excited because I'm like, I'm in Hawaii, but then it's like the warm, it just feels like it swells up my joints, And
my daughter feels like crackling, like popcorn, like
really?
Her joint, and humidity,
Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry.
We had a very humid summer and it was awful.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, that's a great, I'm sighing just of, that was a sigh of like, I'm sorry for your daughter. I didn't mean to be like sighing. I was like, it's just unfair. It's just unfair that these wonderful people have to go through this. It's just.
How old's your daughter?
Well, she's 34 and she just got married last May. And, after 4 days of her honeymoon, she got diagnosed with RA.
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days. And she had pain in this finger. And the problem is also like my mom had RA, but 60 years ago, I'm 61. So she got it when the same year I was born, after my birth. And she got it aggressive too. And, 60 years ago, they didn't have these medications. So I think she lived on cortisone or steroid and all this stuff. And she passed when she was 47. So it was tough for me to learn.
Yeah.
So that's young. So sorry.
No.
So,
it's
so sorry.
The treatment is really, truly the treatments now, though, that I've heard from numerous doctors that they don't expect that the life expectancy for people diagnosed now to be reduced like it was in the past. So I hope that's comforting.
But it seems she's getting aggressive, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's like jumping here and there.
I know. Yeah.
And now her hip, like they found a tear, and like she's telling them, no, it's the RA. Like I never hit my hip or hurt my hip or fell or whatever. So we don't know yet. She has an orthopedic surgeon appointment February 2nd, and we'll see. It's really,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I know we need a separate group for the caregivers and loved ones. But I mean,
I was looking for something, like a group for moms or parents or caregiver for RA patients, but I couldn't find any.
I mean, another one for you, Cheryl.
I know. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, like I think I would welcome you into the group personally,
just to the regular group. Yeah.
I mean, I have RA factor really low, but I have it also, but it's like nothing. But I lived with my mom, and actually I'm helping my daughter because I'm giving her lots of tips and how to deal with this and that. And, knowing that my experience with my mom, I was only 17 when she passed, but still I remember lots of stuff. And I had to go to therapy to differentiate between my mom and my daughter, because it was like, terrible at the beginning, terrible.
No. I'm glad you did go to therapy though, because that's too much to try to
still going to therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, you seriously can't. I mean, I would welcome you into the group.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I don't have a separate one, but
no, I would love to be in the group, because I get help and I help her. That's my goal.
Exactly. Yeah, I should change the whole description. Hold on. Sorry. I got to go update the website. No, I think, and I do think there was a few people who were like, do you have a group for husbands?
Yeah.
Anybody who gives support to RA patient needs to learn about all the stuff,
Yeah.
No, we need to know exactly how you're feeling, and so we can help.
So true. There's in the relationships part of Thrive. I'm obsessed with my acronym, sorry. But we talk about, like, there's research that that one of the best indicators for someone to feel confident and be able to manage their disease is a partner that feels confident, or a loved one, or someone close to them. It's hard because there's this, I don't know if your daughter experiences this, but I'll just say generally, a lot of people, because you don't look sick, you look normal,
invisible disability.
Yeah. And, or you're also like, I was kind of in denial myself when I was younger. So I was like, I'm fine. It's fine. Like, kind of trying to, like, if I don't say it's real, it's not really real. And so then you don't even tell people what you need, because you don't even realize, you don't admit to yourself what you need. So, that can be a big process.
Yeah.
But
so Laura,
forever in search of the right diet or the right. Lori,
Lori.
Lori. Yeah.
Laura. Okay, sorry.
How long you've been with RA?
I was diagnosed about 7 years ago, and I'm 57.
Okay.
But I have had symptoms my whole life that only now add up. So I have about 5 autoimmune issues or diseases, and they all overlap. So my first one at thyroid starting at 10, and then allergic to sun at 15, and so all sorts of different ones. Carpal tunnel for years that they said was carpal tunnel, that I now know was RA. That sort of thing. So, but officially diagnosed in 2017. So
my daughter had a thyroid problem, so
they're so connected.
She was 14.
She was?
But she was 14, and they gave her medication for 2 years, and it went away.
And has she had it checked again?
Yeah, she checks it every year.
Check it again, and get those people that check the gray area, because a little bit there's a lot of gray area for normal. So you could be high in normal or low in normal, and that little bit can make a big difference. I had to go to minute doses just this year, trying to get the right one that helped a little bit. So and then menopause really throws it through the roof too. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, this has been really helpful, because I didn't have any group, Cheryl. So having your group was, seeing it online. One of my friends told me that I should look for that, and it didn't even occur to me. So I found it on Instagram, and
I know.
And some of the hacks have been really, really helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad.
My new favorite thing.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Why didn't I know about Dyson?
You should have been. I mean, again,
which one?
Dyson. It's called Dyson. It's like a sticky material that you can use to twist things, or twist things on and off.
Oh my goodness.
Because I bought almost like all of her hats. Seriously. And
they're fantastic.
Yeah.
If you don't have that one, you have to get that one. That's great.
Okay.
Non-slip. That's fine. I always say sticky, which not sticky is not the right word.
Yeah.
You don't want something actually sticky. It's non-slip. not,
You
yeah.
know,
And what
even
about
under your
like
keyboard,
for,
it stops your keyboard from moving. It's just
Oh,
great.
oh, nice. What about for driving? Do you have anything for,
Oh,
to make it more comfortable.
yeah,
That's one of the one thing that you can do is, if is one hand better than the other, is like one hand less painful than the other.
yeah.
yeah, it's still aggravating her hands.
Both
She's not
hands.
drive. Yeah, she's not driving now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, eventually you can do what's like a steering wheel. What's it called?
it has a
Like,
lever.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lever or a lever, and that's let me just look it up. They're used for people who only have a knob. Yeah, people who have one hand.
Mm,
Or
But they can,
paralyzed. Yeah.
mm,
yeah, exactly. But you
okay.
and the thing I have to say as the occupational therapist, it's like these aftermarket products like aren't
Yeah.
really considered covered under like your car's warranty and stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
like it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember this with like infant car seats or anything. They're like, don't put anything on the car seat, but
Right.
that could be helpful. I think that for me, raising the seat as high as it can go is good, because
Mm,
you're doing this,
yeah,
scrunches you all
yeah,
up and is uncomfortable. But
yeah.
I mean, if she's
Do you know
still,
that I even tried, sorry to interrupt.
oh, no,
I
no.
even tried the Dyson on the wheel,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because sometimes it's just having to hold it tight when that is a hand thing that
Okay.
makes a
That's a
big
great
difference.
idea.
So the extra strength can take all the strength out of your joints at the time.
Yeah. You're like, I honestly think that what happens is people become like their own occupational therapists. It's like you're
Yeah,
having to solve the
your
problem.
experience. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a great, yeah, anything that could help improve your grip
Yeah.
is going to be helpful. Also, like, I know some people use a heated steering wheel because warmth can kind of help loosen up stiff joints if warmth
Yeah,
Yeah.
helps.
yeah,
So that's another thing, but it's hard. I think that's one of the harder ones. You
very
can't,
hard.
yeah.
And are you driving her around too?
Well, her husband is driving her around. Her sister they live in LA and I live in Orange County. So it's like 1 hour away from me.
Mhm.
But sometimes she comes and stay with me like for a week, both of them. And we've been doing this. Yeah. But thank God she's working from home now. She's a psychologist and she's
Mhm.
been able to work from home.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that's helped. But, she's in pain. She's in pain.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to figure out what that noise is. Oh,
No,
there we go.
it's my noise. It's
Oh,
my
it's yours.
alarm.
Oh, sorry.
So
Oh, it's okay. No. I want to make sure it wasn't me. Welcome back, Linda's phone. You're welcome to unmute if you have any questions too. I don't want to make no pressure. But oh man. Yeah, I know that it can take a while to get on the right, treatment path, but I really hope that your daughter gets.
Yeah, I want her to be encouraged. I want her to be like, okay, I see result. It's less
Mhm.
intense. The pain in here less intense, but then something else comes up. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. And is it working? Is it slowing down the progress? And the doctor says, yes, the treatment is slowing the progress, whatever. And I don't know. I don't understand. In my mind, I see inflammation. I mean, equal pain. Whenever you have pain, it means that you have inflammation. And
Mhm.
inflammation means the disease is still, going. But the doctor says, no, the treatment she's taking, it's treating the disease. And I don't understand. So,
yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
constant search of the triggers.
yeah.
It might be easier to learn to just accept it than try
Yeah.
to figure out what is causing it. But I find that
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to figure out what the trigger was. Why was it
Yeah.
worse this week than last week? And
Yeah.
what did I do different or eat different? Or
Yeah. It
so
can
it
be.
becomes very restrictive after a while.
Yeah.
Way of living. But
Yeah. I think it really has to do with like, is is the hyperfixation on triggers and symptom control preventing you from engaging in your life, you know?
Right.
But Nada, to answer your question about inflammation and pain, like when it comes to acute pain, like pain from an injury, that is true that that pain goes along with inflammation. But like, unfortunately, first of all, I always say that pain science is not perfect yet, right? Like there's the more you learn about the science of pain, the more complicated it is. But there is a possibility that the inflammation is getting better, even though the pain is persisting. Sometimes the pain lags behind it, or the pain becomes chronic pain that isn't related to an underlying. So, but I think again, try not to read into what you're saying, but what I find hard is you never know, is this getting better, or is it like, even though I still feel crappy, is it on the right? Would it have been worse if I did nothing?
Oh,
like, do you know,
Right.
but you don't know unless you can clone yourself and have like
oh my
5.
gosh, yeah. I don't, some people are not doing the treatment. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? But,
Well, there's different severities. Yeah. So some people, but I did ask one of the most well-respected rheumatologists, who's like, I forget which doctor he works for, but he's like the head author on a lot of, his name's Dr. Jeff Sparks. I said, can you just give me a ballpark? Like how many people are able to sustain like long-term remission from rheumatoid arthritis without medication? And he said 5% or less. Like it's
5%.
very, so, and
they're
that
very
is
often sold that
exactly
that acupuncture is going to do it, or
or the keto diet, or
but Cheryl, like, what is the remission? Is it like no pain? Or acceptable pain, or low grade pain, or what?
Rheumatology is all gray areas, as I'm sure you've gathered already. But there's 2 different ways that doctors tend to classify remission. The first would be, the most strict definition of remission is no blood markers of inflammation or active disease, no signs of disease, active disease on their like visual inspection or their palpation, and no patient reported symptoms. That's like super, super strict. But I will say, like, I was in medicated remission, and that is how I felt on Enbrel and methotrexate. I had, for the first 6 years, I had no pain, no swelling, no fatigue.
But you were treated, like you still.
I had methotrexate and Enbrel that entire time. Religious. Yeah. And then my body created antibodies to Enbrel, and then that started the downhill. No, but the point of it is that is possible, and that's the most strict definition. But other doctors will define remission as either or. So either they might say, okay, you're in basically remission when you have no blood markers, but you might still feel some stiffness and pain, especially pain. Again, pain can be persistent in the absence of any active disease process. So the sensation of pain is in your brain. Like the brain is where pain is processed. It doesn't mean that it's in your head, like you're making it up, but it just means that your brain can decide that you're sensing pain even when you're not, right? Because that's why we have like phantom limb syndrome. You can literally have no hand, and your brain is telling you your hand hurts. Like it's because it's not, the pain is in your brain. So in that case, the doctors would say, okay, I'm saying, because there's no blood markers and there's no physical, like when I'm physically examining you, but if you still feel some pain, inflammation, I'm still going to say that if you're able to function in your daily life, like you can do your job, you can, do with your basic activities, then I'm going to say you're in remission. So you'll find people whose doctors decide to be either the strictest or the not strictest, but it would definitely be like remission would be like not a lot of symptoms and not a lot of markers.
Not a lot of pain. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people going in that are able to achieve it, even
Yeah.
for just the number of years, like, I mean, I feel lucky that I was able to have it for 6 years, I thought it was going to be forever. So that's what was hard for me when afterwards, I was
So
like,
you're
wait,
not in remission now.
no, I'm close. Like, it's definitely mild though. Like, I definitely I'll wake up some days like kind of limping on my right foot, or my hands are just like can't open quite perfectly in the morning. But again, I'm able to perform my my required activities currently. Like, it's funny because in the sheets that they have me fill out at the beginning of each rheumatology appointment, one of them is like, how well are you able to perform your it's worded like, participate in like recreational and activities like as you would like. And like, I want to be able to like dance and run and like do the things I could do even with rheumatoid arthritis. I was a lot more physically active than now. So I'm like, well, I'm not really able to do that. But anyway, it's more complicated because part of that is because I have a neck injury from a car accident. So nothing to do with RA, but then because my neck is a little unstable, I don't want to be like pounding on it, running and dancing as much. But
Cheryl, when you had that car injury, the car accident, did that trigger RA elsewhere as well?
No, it's truly been like whack-a-mole, like that game whack-a-mole where the mole comes up and you're like, okay, like RA. And then, okay, I also have stomach issues. Occasionally the stomach issues have gone along with RA, but they don't go hand in hand. I wish that they did, because it would make more sense. You know what I mean? But the fact that they don't always go together at least gives me a reprieve, because I'm like, okay, my neck really hurts, but my RA is not too bad. Or my stomach hurts, but my RA is not too bad. Oh, my RA is bad, but at least my stomach's not bad. My body does not make sense. Like, and so that's why, again, I've been doing this for 19 years, living with it. So it takes time to get to that acceptance point, right? And it's easier to have the acceptance when you are at a functional status. Like, I'm on Actemra and methotrexate. Definitely, I wouldn't just be like, oh, it's fine, if I was having, more severe, like if I couldn't drive and if I couldn't, write and stuff like, and cook and stuff like that, So anyway, sorry, that's just my,
I had a bad fall 2 months ago. And I slipped on ice and really smashed my head and
I'm so sorry.
My whole back, and then I've been in a complete flare since.
It can happen. And I will say, there was one injury I had in 2005. I was mostly in very well controlled remission, but I injured my foot or my knee, my right knee or my left, the inside of my left knee, the MCL, like the ACL with the medial collateral ligament. And my knee ballooned up really big, and it didn't spread to other joints, but my doctor did say, because of the RA, like that it was taking a really long time to heal, and like was kind of become like, so I always forget about that because it was so long ago. But anyway, it is common for one injury to
aggravated, I think.
Yeah. And whenever I get the flu, when I've gotten I always get the flu shot, but I still get the flu sometimes, or when I've gotten like a kind of viral illness, like my GI stuff isn't like a virus, but when that's happened, my RA gets worse afterwards. So
I mean, it makes sense, because it's an autoimmune disease, and it gets aggravated with anything that happens to your body.
Right.
I mean, with all these research and stuff, I don't know when they're gonna find a way, or a vaccine, or something. I don't know.
There is a vaccine that just has been researched. Have you seen that, Cheryl?
I heard about it.
What? No.
There is a vaccine that has just come out that had some good results.
I'll
send you the link that I
saw. Is it the one?
I don't know how far away we are from.
But is it the one that they give if you have the genetic mark or something like that, right?
You know what? I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I can't remember. My brain fog.
I've heard of it, and it seems like if you're susceptible to RA, or you have the genetic mark, whatever, you can have this vaccine.
Right. I think that is the same one. It just came out before Christmas, the results.
I missed that. I feel like there's always new things, and I try not to get my hopes up too much, but I want it to be all be true, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I ended up back on prednisone and
Oh.
methotrexate, but on a big dose of prednisone, just trying to calm this flare for the last 2 months. So prednisone still does wonders.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like to be on it forever, but thank goodness for it sometimes.
I know my daughter is really like fighting it. She doesn't want to be on it because the first time they put her on, the first day she got diagnosed, and the doctor gave her a shot, and then he gave her the prednisone, like she felt so bad. She felt so, all her body was hurting, and then she felt hyper, and then she felt anxious, all the stuff. So she doesn't like it, and I know from my experience with my mom that it destroyed her bones. But before, like old days, they only had prednisone. I think they only had prednisone.
They didn't know. They didn't know how it was going to have those effects long term.
And now I'm begging her to take some for her hip because it's really like bad pain, but she's resisting still. So I don't know.
Could they do a cortisone injection?
They did the local cortisone shot last week, but it came back. The pain, like it lasted only 3-4 days. The pain came back.
Maybe because I'm very sensitive to prednisone in terms of it does provoke my anxiety. I get an energy surge, initially a happy energy, and then it turns. And then I'm like, blah. So, but maybe a smaller dose, maybe she's just hypersensitive to it. So but a smaller dose would give the benefit without, again, it's not medical advice, but
and they do the big tapering, like dose at the beginning and then taper right away.
That's the way he gave her some, but she's, we'll see her appointment with the orthopedic surgeon. We'll see what he's going to say.
I've had to be on it twice in the last year, and my sister is always very helpful. And she said, you forget what relief you have when you finally go on it. Because I really fight going on it too. I don't know why. I feel like I should be doing everything but. And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, it's really, really nice to be able to use your fingers.
It's so weird how you don't realize what you've been used to until it goes away. Like when I was pregnant, like because I had been about how I am now before I got pregnant, like pretty good, like maybe a little better because I hadn't had the car accident, but just in terms of the RA, just like not perfect disease control, but definitely functional. Like I was swing dancing and stuff like that. But then when I got pregnant and it went into remission, I was like, oh, this is what it like normal people feel like. It was like, that being able to completely uncurl your fingers without feeling like any resistance, just like,
or brush my hair without pain. But doesn't that make you think that there is some sort of endocrine connection that we just don't know yet? I mean,
and the gut,
it's in hormone, in pregnancy, and in menopause, it really changes. So, and the gut, absolutely, your microbiome, the key things right now.
I know.
I'll investigate next.
It's so, I know it's so like, I feel like we're so close. Like I feel like in the next 10 years, there's going to be something that comes out for the gut microbiome, and it has to. It's so interrelated, but there's just no prescriptive thing we can do yet. That's like, okay, because these are linked, you need to do this. It's just more like, okay, studies are showing that they're linked. But I'm sorry, I need to go in a couple of minutes. Sorry, I just realized the time.
Me too.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Was there something else? So I don't want to be that. I don't want to be.
So we register for a Rheum to Thrive after this?
Yeah. I just did it for the first time. I'm doing it where you can pre-register. Before I had this like unnecessarily complicated thing where it's like, you could only register for this 1 week. I don't know why. Anyway, just trying things.
Yeah.
So I just put it in the chat, or I can send it in an email.
Yeah, it would be nice in the email. Yeah.
In the email, I'll send it an email with the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good night or evening. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.